What is going on, beautiful people? Happy Friday, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another one of our live AMAs. I'm just posting the link to this on Instagram right now. And then I will be chatting with you guys for about the next hour or so. So hopefully everybody's doing good. Crazy times that we're in. And, with all of the self-isolation, quarantining that we need to do, hopefully everybody's able to enjoy kind of the peace, the downtime. This is something that a lot of people use as a hobby, custom sneakers. So now might be a time where hopefully you can find a silver lining and make something out of this time that you're stuck at home and stuck inside. I'm very, very lucky that I work from home, so I'm able to continue to work still. I don't need to go to a separate studio or anything like that. But yeah, so let's go ahead and pull the video up here. Hopefully everybody is still doing okay, though. All right. Ty Custom Kick says, I just got posted by Angels for the first time. That's awesome. Congrats, dude. I saw those Air Forces earlier. Those came out really cool, man. Looks like a ton of work went into those. Those are really cool, man. I dig the cartoon look that you achieved on those. Let's see. Rupsy says, I've been self-quarantining for years. Hey, same here, man. This is nothing new to me. Self-isolation and being locked away in a basement. That's been at that for many years now. So, all right. Already 80 people here. Thank you guys for joining us. Let's go ahead and start answering some questions. Don B says, what's the best way to stop vinyl from taking up paint when removing it? There's two things, Don. One, it's going to be all about the prep work, making sure that you really scuffed up the surface, you sanded it so that the paint can actually bond to it. And then another thing that's really, really, really going to help is to heat set the vinyl before you remove it. So, and then kind of do it as you're peeling. So as you're peeling back the stencil, have your heat gun nearby to pull it back. And this is also when I recommend a heat gun over a blow dryer, because a heat gun is going to get hotter than a blow dryer. A blow dryer kind of more pushes out wind rather than a heat gun. It's somewhat like wind, but it's just a lot more of a gust of heat literally coming at you. So a heat gun's really going to help with that. Chris Bass says, where do you get the shoes from? Wholesale? No, unfortunately. I wish I could. I don't have a, if anybody is one, if anybody can help me be a sneaker plug to get wholesale shoes, I would love to. But for the most part, people send in their shoes to us, or when they want us to supply the shoe, we just go ahead and pick them up from the mall, and we pay retail for them also. So let's see. Kong Custom says, you should review some Instagrams again today. If you guys want, I can go ahead and we can go ahead and review some Instagrams. I didn't post this on Instagram stories earlier that I was doing this. This was kind of a spur of the moment Q&A. Jason and I actually filmed Reviewing Your Customs episode 6 earlier. He got out of here about an hour ago, and I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and do a Q&A. Everybody's at home anyway. Let's go ahead, hop in, and talk with some people. So we did episode 6 of Reviewing Your Customs, so that's exciting. I'm not sure when we're going to release it, but we had 4 really dope pairs. Looking at them now, they're all really dang cool. So if you guys are interested in us doing some reviewing your Instagrams, we might go ahead and do that. Let's see. Only Everything says, what are the most common sizes to start out? So the most common shoe size in America is a size 10 men's. Let's see, what else here? Lewis Bassett says, what's the best way to sell your customs? I've started an Instagram dedicated for my customs and listed them on Depop, but can't manage to get any buyers. Suggestions? So, Lewis, when you're just starting out, I can't see your Instagram right now, so I don't know how many pairs, how many posts you have on there per se. But when you're just starting out, just worry about getting out content, getting out examples to the world. If you only have a couple posts on your page, it's going to be hard for people to kind of take you serious and think you're legit and whatnot. So you just need to post a lot of content, build out that portfolio on your Instagram, and post on other sites like Etsy, eBay, things like that. Any other site that you could get on and potentially get more eyes onto. So let's see. What else? Paul says, when are you doing the fan custom giveaway? So that video most likely, I would say that video should be within the next month. We already have quite a few videos filmed because of the hecticness around the world. We're kind of considering when we want to release certain things. And just because right now people are in, right now is not fun times, you know what I mean? I know people are looking for enjoyment. They're looking for ways to get their mind sort of off what's going on outside, and YouTube can be that place. But so much of social media right now is kind of somber, and so people aren't. We're paying close attention to what content we want to release in the next few weeks, basically. So I admire the Sean theme. Yeah, guys. So here you can see we have the original Witherspoons over here. Here we have a pair of Jordan 1 Lows. This is a color mixing video coming out soon. And you can tell I tried as much as possible to really nail the colors here. And I had done a pair of these before during the NFL season for our buddy Brendan Jackson on the Seahawks. But I intentionally oversaturated the colors. I really wanted them to pop on the field. And it's interesting. These have grown on me a lot over time. When I first saw them, I'm like, why are the colors so desaturated? Why are they so dulled out? But it's because this pair looks better worn. Because the whole upper is made out of corduroy. It's intended to fray a little bit. These look better with age. So that's why the colors were already naturally a little dulled out. So it grew on me over time. So I wanted to do a video on how to get these specific colors. So let's see. Alex32, we got a lot of questions. Are you married? I am. I got married last year to my wife, Brittany. I've been with her for 10 years, just over 10 years now. December was 10 years. So, yep. Let's see. Nick Kessler says, what are your thoughts on the first few episodes of MTV's Sneaker Wars? The criteria for judging seems tough. I think it's an awesome idea for, of course, the idea of it's really cool. Shout out to all of the people willing to participate and put yourself out there and put kind of your name on the line, essentially, to go on a show like that. The judging, To be 100% transparent, I haven't seen all 4 episodes. This week was the 4th episode. I think I've only seen 2 of them. So I think it's a cool concept. I would like a little bit more. It's hard to say. It's hard to say what I would do, what I would like different about it. It's an awesome concept for a show, of course, putting 2 people up against each other. It's something that we would love to do, but budget and all that stuff for us to be able to handle it on our own. I think it's cool. I love the concept. I think it's so short, okay, which is nice because that's nice, digestible content online, and that's always a struggle of how long do you make something. And so the actual breakdown and the critique, in my opinion, could be a whole lot longer. So that's kind of what I think for that. Supreme Go-To says, I need help on my butterfly custom. The paint bled through the stencil. Any ideas? So that's when it's really going to be all about heat setting it properly so that it's really going to hold down and it's not going to lift up for you. Let's see here. Matthew says, can I use Posca pens to customize? No, those won't hold up, unfortunately. Those are not meant for long-term durability. So anytime you see that, it's kind of just for display purposes, just for fun. Let's see. Kong says, do you know how one would get on Sneaker Wars? Yeah, so they reached out to all the people. They reached out to me, and I mentioned this in our recent Q&A video last week. They reached out to me, asked me to be on Sneaker Wars, and I said I would like to be a judge on the show. And just because I thought it would be really cool to basically bring reviewing your customs essentially to a bigger stage. And I had done a pretty long interview process with them, a couple of them actually, and it seemed like it was going well. I thought we were going to get it. I was very excited. And then they ultimately contacted me and said they wanted to go a little bit more of the celebrity route, somebody who has a little bit more of a bigger following to push the show. So totally understand that. Of course, no hard feelings there. Admit that they have awesome judges. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a cool series. I'm very excited to see where it continues to go. Let's see. Richard, can you upload a video on track spites? Potentially. We don't particularly do a lot of track spites. And for the most part, so much of our content is really built around our current orders and whatnot. Basically, everything that you see is current orders because we want all of our tutorials and videos to be very practical and have real world application. So we don't do track spikes that often. So that's why I don't. Do we have a couple baseball cleats on the page, but we don't even have any basketball shoes or track spikes because we don't particularly do a lot of them. So as soon as we get an order for stuff like that or we start fitting those in, that would definitely be something that we would do. Let's see here. Gustavo says, what type of vinyl do you use? There are many, and I am finding it hard to get them to stick despite using the heat gun. So I use Oracal 811. That's what I recommend if you're just starting out. And if you have a little bit more of experience, you can use something like an FDC 3700 glitter vinyl. But that stuff is a whole lot stronger. So if your shoes aren't prepped properly, you didn't paint properly, it's going to peel up a lot of paint. So that one's kind of a little bit of a use at your own risk type deal. Let's see here. Curtis says, have you ever put a speaker or lights in a shoe? So I have not done a speaker as far as lights on a shoe. I did do lights on our Christmas Grinch shoe. So I made it look like the Grinch was kind of stealing lights off of the shoe. And what I did for that was I used a model train kit. So, you know, those huge model trains that you see at museums and whatnot. Well, they have Christmas scenes and sometimes they have Christmas lights, and they're obviously incredibly tiny. So I used some of those on our Grinch shoe, the pair of Vans skate highs. And the thing that always concerns me with speakers or lights going into shoes is obviously they're going to be battery powered. So is the battery compartment going to be small enough that it's not obnoxious and the shoe can still be worn and whatnot? Something to always consider. So I think a great example of that was by All Shoes Matter, who was the person who did the Jordan 6s in the DCF Christmas contest. That was awesome. He had speakers, he had lights. He always goes kind of super over the top with his electronics, and he has a very cool signature style. So let's see what else here. Have you ever made a shoe from scratch? No, I have not. It's funny. I have a pair of Jordan 1 lows from about 6 years ago that are sitting in a box, and they're completely cut up, waiting for me to learn how to sew. And hopefully in the next year, I'll be able to attend the shoe surgeon's class. I want to take his course and learn how to deconstruct and then reconstruct a shoe. I think that'd be extremely cool. So Jonathan Lee says, what happens if I put a darker color on a lighter color and accidentally got paint on a part you didn't want, but the color is darker than the color underneath? How would I fix that? So let me read that again. What happens if I put a darker color on a lighter color and I accidentally got paint on a part I didn't want, but the color is darker than the color underneath? How would I fix that? So just for example, basically what you're saying, I believe, is if you took this green paint and you got it on some of the panels where we have only the yellow. So if I got this green paint on this yellow eyelet panel here, what I would do is potentially try to take a Q-tip and acetone it off, and then touch up the yellow. But if you're worried about removing too much of the paint underneath, one thing that I might potentially do, this is situation to situation, but rather than trying to just paint the yellow directly on top of any green spots, because that wouldn't cover up, it would take way too many coats, I would paint down something like a mist color or a light gray on top of the spot, then try to use a lighter color, get that closer to white, and then paint my yellow on top of that. So if you're If you got a darker color onto a lighter color, you're never going to be able to cover it up with using that lighter color. So you need to use something to kind of base coat that spot first, something like light gray or a mist color. Okay. Let's see. Alex says, how old are you? I always have to think about this one, but I am 28. I was born on Super Bowl 26, January 26, 1992. Let's see. Joby Landa says, what are some tips for making your own stencils? So I think that it really helps to know a lot about Photoshop when you're trying to create your own stencils. And then you just need a tabletop vinyl cutter. The one that I recommend is a Silhouette Cameo 3. And then you just got to learn a little bit about the cutting software. We use Silhouette Studio. That's the free program that comes with any Silhouette tabletop cutter. And it's not too hard to use, so. Paul says, for an indoor deoxidizing setup, exactly what kind of UV light is needed? Would a 405 nm UV with 6W output work? So I don't do any restoration work, unfortunately. That is a question for my buddy Raleigh Restorations on Instagram. I think for the most part, he's pretty good about answering questions. So if you want to go ahead and follow up with him on Instagram, I think he'd be able to answer that one for you. Let's see. Sean says, can you cut a Travis Scott reverse leather swoosh using a Silhouette? So I actually had a question. This was asked on a YouTube video the other day. The issue with that, and I tried that earlier this year when on a pair of football cleats. Most of the time, it's very hard to get any type of leather hide that you have, or any type of leather, because it has a little bit of thickness, albeit, maybe around 1/8 of an inch or so. It's really hard to get that to adhere to a cutting mat. So although the cutter can cut through it, the blades can get through it, it's very hard to get that leather to stay still on a cutting mat. So unless you can find the correct way to adhere it down to a cutting mat, that leather is going to shift once it starts, being under the rollers and the actual blade itself. So that was the issue that I ran into when I tried that. Okay, let's see. Tons of good questions here, guys. Thank you for all that. Thank you for joining us. Let's see. Yeah, so if anybody wants us to review an Instagram, I would be down for that. It looks like more people are asking. So if you're game, go ahead and let me know your Instagram and say I am down for a little reviewing your Instagram, and we'll get that moving. We will get that moving. Let's see. Have you heard of the app GOAT? Of course, yeah. I've purchased a couple bass shoes off there. I know I've purchased a couple pairs of Legend Blues and Concords off of there for some 11s that I've had to do for people in the past. So is it okay to mix water with paint into a spray gun? No, that's when you would want to use too thin, not water, because water is really going to break down the paint mixture. Let's see. Repsy with a great question that everybody needs to know. So why is sanding so important when prepping leather? So, I think that a lot of people might think that you can completely, really break down the leather enough. You can remove the factory finish enough with just a cotton ball and acetone, because that's what you see other people do, and other people with who do great work, who have a big following. And so you think, hey, works for them, gonna work for me, right? Well, the issue with that is that you might be removing the factory finish, or the little coating that a factory might apply onto the shoes. I don't know what it is in a Nike factory. I don't know if they have some type of spray finisher on the shoes or if they have some type of liquid finisher that puts on. I don't necessarily know the shoemaking process that goes into a pair of Air Force Ones and whatnot, but when you're working with something like that, you're not going to get the paint to bond unless you really sand down the leather and give the paint something to grip onto. So when you just do things like cotton ball and acetone and then you try placing vinyl on top or even tape on top because you did one part of the shoe and then you want to tape it off and do something on the other parts, and then you go ahead and remove the tape and all of a sudden your paint peeled, that's because the paint didn't actually bond to the leather. It's just sitting on top. It's not gripping and biting onto it. So when you sand it down, you give the paint something to bite onto. So it's something that I just can't stress enough for you guys. Oh man, we have a ton of Instagrams that just came in. Okay. Ton of Instagrams that just came in. Let me plug in and we will do it, guys. Let's see here. This is always fun. All right, so obviously I haven't been able to look at these Instagrams beforehand, so this is going to be all off the cuff. Let's make sure when I switch the screen here, trust this computer. Okay, so let's see. Who's up first? Let me pick a random person here. Who's up first? Please tell this guy you have a second name. My name is just Dillon Jason. I don't have a, my middle name's David, if that's what you're asking or anything. So I am DDD. Let's see here. Who shall we do? Let's do Don Juan, 12 a.m. Customs. 12 a.m. Customs. Cool. Description, 12 a.m. Customs is on YouTube now. Come check us out for tutorials and more on our customs. Taking a quick look at the feed. Let's get a feel for it. Cool, so we have a nice mix of video, a nice mix of pictures. We obviously have a lot of stuff besides shoes. Looks like we have some custom bows here, some little Disney action, Disney princess action. We have some custom mugs here. That's cool stuff. Okay, so 12 a.m. Customs. Ah, yes, I remember these from the horror contest, the Tim Burton Vans. Look at how cool those are. That was a great entry. Love those. Love those. This little pair of Mickey Mouse Air Forces. Look at that fade. That's a nice fade right there. That baby blue into the navy blue with the Mickey wearing the... is Mickey wearing headphones there or something? Let's see. More pictures? Is he wearing headphones because it's music themed? Those look like headphones to me. That's cool. So overall, it looks like just the first thing that I would say could be improved on is the photo quality itself. There's kind of this this haze or this overexposure that is on a lot of the photos. And so like a photo like this, although it's not shoes, it's just very overexposed. If you look at, this might be a table outside or wood or something, whatever it is, sitting on, look at how white it is. I imagine that wood isn't white in real life, but because of the lighting situation, it's just so overexposed. So the work is good. You know what I mean? Like, this is clean work. You could tell. You could tell. Look at the stencil work of that line. Stencil work of that line's text up there with a little bit of gradient in there. That is clean. Okay, so the work is good. There is no doubt about it. I see some background stenciling going on. I just think that the photos could be improved. So these might all be iPhone shots. I would recommend editing your photos. There's so many good apps for editing, whether it be Lightroom, Tada, T-A-D-A-A. Polar is another one, P-O-L-A-R-R. So many apps. I think, what's another one? Snapseed, I like that one. You could do some editing in Instagram. So that's just one thing that I would clean up. And then this Rick and Morty Air Force, looks like we have some Photoshop going on in the background. That's always cool when you can tie that into your theme also. It's going to add to it. So cool stuff. I just think the biggest improvement could be on the photos themselves. And then I would probably add names to the highlights here. So let's say you have a highlight for all of your Minnie Mouse bows, and then you have a highlights for your San Francisco 49ers mugs. Go ahead and put a name to all of that type of stuff. So good stuff, 12 AM Customs. Keep up the good work. I'll go ahead and do, we'll do maybe, I don't know, 4 or so. Let's see. Let's see here. Who shall we do next? Let's do Bart's Kicks. Bart, sneaker artist from Connecticut, and for all inquiries, email me at bartskicks@gmail. Shop the collection with the website. All of the photos, a lot of the photos have that clean, simple product photography, white background. Can't go wrong with that. And I remember this entry. These were in the DCF Christmas contest. These were awesome. Look at how clean that is. This was really cool because it was taking a already clean dunk and just adding a couple more elements to it. I love these dunks. So that was a very cool entry. But, you know, a lot of the photos here are done just with that white background, that product photography style look. So it gets the job done. Same thing here. I would say that the photo quality could be improved. I think that here when we have these dunks up against the pumpkins, the Halloween contest entry, I think that those would, you know, kind of going out of your way to, you know, add to your themes would really help. Like, for example, I think that the pumpkins here just really help sell this Halloween theme so much more. So I love these, man. Good stuff. So same thing here. I would say just kind of improve the photography. Put your time into there. I could tell the craftsmanship is good. Looks like you do some restoration work also. The bio is okay. I would probably recommend adding some stuff to your highlights. Recommend some of your services, some of your restoration services, maybe some of your custom services, things like that. So, guys, if you're in the chat room, please don't spam. You don't need to repeat the same things over and over. Please don't do that. But let's see. Who else can we do here? Curtis, let's do Curtis. Curtis has been asking some good questions today. So CR_ custom footwear. So 8 post, first thing that I would recommend is putting something in your description, your bio. You know, let people know what your page is going to be all about. Let people know a little bit more about you. And then the work itself, we have, what is this, Phineas and Ferb, pair of Air Force Ones. Outdoor photography, looks like we have a heavy sheen on these, so these could probably use a little bit of duller, as far as if we're just talking about the artwork and not just the Instagram. But yeah, you know, when there's only 8 posts, there's only so much I can say till you build it out a little bit more. But the, you know, just keep working. This is cool. Posting concepts also. This is something that you can do when you're just starting out also. If, you know, you don't have the money to go out and get base shoes. You don't have people willing to give you their shoes to just start out. You can post sneaker mock-ups and concepts that you would like to do in the future. And so this is just a really cool rendering. And then he went ahead and brought them to life. This was in January, and he brought them to life a week later. So pretty cool stuff. We've got a pair of LV slides. Those are cool. I would probably recommend doing the LV print a little bit smaller on there so you can pack a little bit more in. If I were to do those slides, a little bit of galaxy work on some bands. I think that the lightning line work could be a little bit thinner. A pair of galaxy bands like these would really... what would really help them is some galaxy stencils, so you can really achieve those kind of clouds in the sky type look, a little bit of splatter effect with the toothbrush. Those are things that I think could be improved there. Okay, let's see. Who else? I know my buddy Rupsy. Hopefully he's still in here. He said check out his page. Let's check him out. If you guys haven't before, Rupsy, you guys hopefully have seen him in the past on our segments of reviewing your customs. He's been on there twice with his Edgar Allan Poe Vans in episode 1, and then he had the Air Franks in episode 3. And before anybody says it, yes, we all know that the monster is named Frankenstein's monster, and the doctor is Frankenstein. And believe me, you're not the first person to say that. We all know it. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy about the Frankenstein stuff. Don't be that guy, please. Okay, so here we are on Repsy's page, sponsored by Leather Care Supply. DM for rates, serious inquiries only. Artist, Creative, Arizona. This is cool. Simple, short tweet. Simple, short, and sweet as far as description or bio goes. It lets people know he's an artist, he's a creative, he lives in Arizona. That's cool. Like I said, short and simple, totally gets the job done. Website listed, and then we have one of those badass, completely decked out Instagrams where every single project gets its own row, similar to how our page is set up. I'm always going to be a fan of this concept. This is awesome. This is great stuff, man. So, and look at how colorful it is. As soon as you open it up, your 9 most recent posts. So you have this crazy Tupac portrait done with all these different colors. The Joker themed boxing shoes. These are boxing, right, man? Boxing boots, yeah. Look at that. And look at how he went out of his way to find an awesome background for these to really make them pop even more. So those somewhat look like a kid's play pit with a ball pit, or I can't tell if they're all balloons behind you because it's so bokeh'd out. I'm not sure if it's a ball pit or whatnot, but super dope. Looks like balloons in the second photo, judging off the size of that back shoe. Let me know if it's balloons. If I had to guess, it's balloons and not a ball pit. But look at how intentional it was also that the artwork of the background of the shoe has hair that I know he was doing on his Instagram Live workshop. So he worked on these over a matter of a month and a half or so and was working on them every Monday for a couple hours. So that was super cool. Everybody got to see these really come together. He filmed everything on camera, prepped them, did the gradient, did the drip, did the sock liner, did the stripes. Badass pair. Lots of cool stuff here, and one thing that's great about Repsy that you could tell is you're not flooded right away with one style. He can kind of tackle any theme, and that's something that I always recommend. Something that you kind of always hear about tattoo artists, and something that I know I always heard when I would watch the show Ink Master. You want to be able to handle any tattoo that comes into your shop. Now, of course, you're going to want to turn some people away with some crazy designs when it comes to tattoo stuff, but you still don't want to have to turn a customer away because you can't do it. You know what I mean? So if somebody comes in and wants a superhero design, you don't want to have to say, I don't know how to do cartoon style. And if somebody comes in and wants a portrait of their parents, you don't want to say, I don't do portrait work. And if somebody comes in and wants some lettering, you don't want to say, I don't do lettering. You know what I mean? You kind of want to be able to tackle everything that comes your way. So when you look at a page like this, there is a very wide range of artistic themes that are featured here. So that's really cool. I mean, you just look at a pair of, what are these, like these aren't Dunks, but one of some SBs. I can't think of the name of this silhouette, but it's all simple color blocking. And then you look at something like, you know, these golf shoes where it's this crazy colorful galaxy pattern. So really having the ability to tackle a lot of different themes is something that I always recommend. And yeah, he has a great page. He had one of his friends do some photography for the Air Franks, and it pays to have friends or family or somebody who knows their way around a camera to help you out if that's not something that you're experienced in. So great stuff, man. Repsy, you know I'm a fan of yours. Keep up the great work, buddy. So, all right. We'll go ahead and hop back in the chat for a little bit. I don't know why my phone, when I do the live, says it's like 2 hours behind. As soon as I turn off that, and now I look back at my phone, it says the right time, but for some reason it says something else. So, okay, here. Yes, so you don't want to go ahead and necessarily everybody go and format their page the same way, because then everybody's is going to look the same. If everybody just goes out and does that Instagram look where they have, you know, an entire row for each project, 3 posts, then everybody's page is going to look the same. There's no way for you to stand out. So you have to find a way for you to stand out and stick to it. You know what I mean? I treat Instagram as a portfolio. That's my belief that it should be. And I just think it adds to the value when you are trying to get people to take you serious. So, for example, the pair of shoes that we did, we posted a video for him. The video went up yesterday. It was a pair of shoes that we made for Bow Wow. And it was to, he's on tour now for his Millennium Tour. And one of the designers for his clothing brand wanted to get him a gift for the tour. And so they reached out to us and said, hey, we have like a 3-day deadline. Is there any way to get this done? And we were able to get it done. So it's not like we were on that project, for example, we weren't contacted directly by Bow Wow. We were contacted by a middleman, somebody who found us and obviously saw that our page looks legit. It looks like we're a serious business. And now I want to go ahead, reach out to you and try to do business with you. So that's what I always recommend pushing, treating the Instagram like a portfolio so you look like a legit business so that, when anybody finds your page, they're going to look like, oh, excuse me, okay, this looks like somebody that I potentially want to do business with. So try to treat it that way is what I would recommend. Will says, do you have a video of your customs next to you? I do not, but there will be one in the near future. Coming up. Let's see. Oh, Kong Customs. Yes, let me do your page real quick, buddy. Yeah, Kong Customs. Let's go ahead. You know what? I'll answer a few more questions, and then I'll do yours once we hop back into the reviewing your Instagrams. Kong Customs did the Rhino Air Forces on episode 2 of Reviewing Your Customs, and that was a pair that, whoo, man, the comments, people loved those, man. You did a tremendous job. You know what? One thing that's really interesting that I never got the chance to ask you, Kong Customs, is was it intentional that you did the upper of the shoe glossy? Because that's something that I touched on in the video, that I said, I think that this may have been done on accident, and I could be wrong. Maybe you did it intentional, but if I were to do it, if I were to do rhino skin, again, art is subjective, but if it was my pair, I would have done the rhino skin looking dull as a flat finish. So I'm very curious if it was intentional by you, and art is subjective, so it was just kind of my opinion that I would have rather it be done that way. So Curtis says, what type of glue do you use to attach elements onto shoe? I use barge cement, it's called. So you could pick up a bottle of this on Amazon for probably under $10, all-purpose cement. So this is if you were cutting out any leather and trying to, adhere it onto a shoe, this is what I would recommend. So Repsy says, have you tried using faux leather paper to run through the stencil cutter and applying to the shoe? Do you think it will hold up? I think I would need to, a lot of the backings to faux leather, since it's not leather on both sides, a lot of the backing is this material that just doesn't want to adhere down onto the mat. So to me, that's the biggest issue, is getting the faux leather, any type of leather, to adhere onto the mat to actually be run through the cutter, because it will cut through. The blade is strong enough to go through there. It's just getting the leather to adhere to the mat is the issue. So Kong Custom says, it was not intentional to make it shiny, but I also wasn't thinking about trying to make it matte either. I agree with your comments, though. Interesting, because that's something that, that's obviously our most viewed video. I think it has 1.5 million views now, just absolutely mind-boggling. And one of the most talked about comments was, oh man, why are you giving the guy a hard time about the glossy? It looks cool, it looks cool. And, but, not even to toot my own horn, but now it kind of makes sense that I was right, that it wasn't even intentional. You know what I mean? I looked at it and I said, I see this as a talented artist here, and I don't think that he intentionally did this. And, a lot of people got up in arms and thought I was crazy about that. But that's funny to know months later. But let's see what else here. Chad Mercer says, I have a question about additives and stuff. I was using a matte finisher, but I still have a glossy look on the shoe. Could I use duller as a finisher or mix it with matte finisher? Yes, you can mix a little bit of duller into the matte finisher, probably about 10% or so. You can always add in more duller. You can't add in less, per se. you would have to add in more finisher, but then you'd be wasting your finisher mix. So make sure that you, add it in little by little. Do not use duller by itself as a finisher. Repsy says it's made by Cricut and made for stencil cutters. Feels like a thinner leather. Interesting. So there is something out there that could be used. That's interesting. That is interesting. Yeah, so I have, let me go ahead and grab them. An interesting pair from Reviewing Your Customs. You guys are going to get a sneak peek. Don't tell Jason. Here we have, one of the pairs has a custom leather cut swoosh from Rick and Morty, and they have, this was cut out. Let's see, will it focus? Yeah, so obviously they removed the swoosh and then added this new custom one with the spaceship thing. And forgive me, I don't know Rick and Morty all that well. I'm not intelligent enough. And I actually like the leather here. I'm pretty curious what he used. He's actually out in Italy, and it's actually like a nice tumble leather. And so tumble leather, for you guys that don't know, is that leather, when you get up close to it, it has all of that line work. Almost looks like elephant skin, whereas the rest of Air Force's is like a smooth leather. So I'm pretty curious what he used here, but it's incredibly thin. It's so thin. Like, I mean, I can't, it's not going to read through the camera, but this it's even thinner than the swoosh that is the factory swoosh. I would say it's about half of the thickness. So I'm very curious what he used here, because that's cool stuff. Okay, let's see. Yes, what Repsy said about the sandpaper, 400, 800, 1200, for anybody wondering about that. It's a portal gun. Oh, I thought it was a spaceship, so I'm probably going to get roasted in the comments of that video, because I didn't know. I said it was a spaceship. Whoops. Yeah. Oh, well, what you going to do? What you going to do? Yeah, so you think that might be the faux paper, huh? It has a tumble look. Yeah, so that's what that stuff had. So I wonder if he used it. That's cool. Matt Tavis Burke says, can you use adhesion promoter on mesh or fabric-like materials? Absolutely. I use adhesion promoter on any material I'm working on. It never hurts to use it. Josh says, do you like the Angelus pens? I do not. They have never worked great for me, unfortunately. Tyler George says, what materials can you sand? Anything that's not a soft material like mesh, nubuck, prime knit, any type of fabric, anything other than that, I'm going to sand if I'm working on it. Ryan says, can I start with $50? Basically, the question's worded a little wrong, but can you start airbrushing for under $50? No, because you can't get an airbrush and a compressor for both under $50. So if you were, excuse me, we're live, folks, so we can't edit that out. But you cannot get a good kit which has a compressor and an airbrush for under $50. It would not function very well, in my opinion. So you can pick up a compressor for around $70, and then you can pick up an airbrush for around $85. So you need about $150 to start, in my opinion, for airbrushing. Okay, so let's go ahead and hop into some Instagrams here. We're gonna go ahead and do our buddy. Okay, we got the phone back on. We are going to do our buddy Kong Customs. Give me a second here, guys. Just making sure we're doing good. And okay, I thought the stream froze a little bit on my end. Forgive me for that. Okay, Kong Customs, let's do it. Oh, the Corona jokes rolled in because I sneezed. Got me, guys. You got me. You got me. All right. This is a dope Instagram, man. Kong Customs is an extremely talented dude. Let's go ahead and hop into some of these videos. Get to see some of these come together. This Animal Pack Jordan 1. I always love seeing the process. Always love it. Always love it. Look at that cheetah print coming together on that toe box panel. Even if, I think some people might have a misconception that even if you are not out to, create tutorials and how-tos, you're an artist and you want to sell your product, you can still post time lapses of the work. It's not about, oh, I need to hide my secrets or anything like that. Potential buyers would love to see the process and see the things really come together. So absolutely. So, Custom Covered Queen, thank you for that. Very much appreciated. What adhesion promoter do you use, and are we still on for the 18th? So yes, we will be making sure Jason and I are gonna talk everything over the weekend. Of course, make sure that all the organizations say everything is okay to go. We of course need to pay attention to the higher ups who kind of make the rules, but we will absolutely keep you guys updated on that. I'm an optimist. My fingers are crossed that we're still able to. Adhesion promoter wise, I use one from Rust-Oleum. I purchased it from a car website because they had like a car supply store. They happen to have it the cheapest. So I think any adhesion promoter works just fine for the most part. So the one I use is just from Rust-Oleum. So really any brand's going to work fine. For the most part, you can find them at hardware stores, I would say, your local Lowe's or Home Depot. So any of them will work just fine, and I use it on every project. So okay, so back to Kong Customs Instagram here. So look at this. So this Animal Pack Jordan 1, it looks like there's 5 or 6 posts of the whole project. So we have a video showing that as a time lapse. Here's an IGTV video showing the whole making of these. That's awesome. Cool little video edit. Some close-up detail shots. Look at the detail in the peacock feathers. My goodness, you are so talented at bringing that realism from animal skin. My goodness, I saw it firsthand with the rhino skin. So to see it on another pair, this is awesome. All the different stuff from the peacocks and the cheetahs. Very cool. On the these were the Bloodline Jordan 1s. Love how these turned out. This is actually pretty cool. The background also looks like it's just like a wood surface that you probably work on. You might do some of your spraying on and things like that. But it works here. The colors help. Dig that. And here we have a little bit of a mock-up with a cool background. So you have a little bit of graphic designer to you too. You could tell some of your Photoshop stuff is very cool. Here's the Rhino Air Forces with, again, some really cool design work to, it just adds, it's going to make your page stand out when you're doing these types of graphics that other people aren't doing, because other people aren't doing this stuff. So when you have something that other people aren't doing that works, keep it up. So I highly recommend doing more of these. Big fan. I know that fella right there. Love these Dia de los Muertos football cleats. So colorful. Great stuff, man. Yeah, so I think that the Instagram page is absolutely improved. I mean, if we look at this from December of 2018, this is a very beginner style shot. But, I mean, you look at that, not even, 14 months ago. And you look at some of the photography and stuff now, it has absolutely improved. So I keep coming back to these. I mean, I would love to know how many hours these took, because there's so many cool details in these, man. And last I remember, I think you're only 15. I wonder if you had your 16th birthday yet. But man, is the future is bright for you. The Black Christmas Ultra Boost, I love these. Look at the photography. Not only is the photography cool here, but then these also have a little bit of realism combined with some Photoshop. So the ornament is Photoshop, but it looks real. At first, I thought it was real, and this is great stuff. Black Christmas, great movie for anybody who hasn't seen the original from 1974. There's 3 of them. There's only one good one. So check out the classic if you're into horror classics. Black Christmas was also very much a inspiration for John Carpenter when he made the original Halloween. So now I'm probably making myself sound incredibly old because I'm talking about movies from the 70s, but I'm a huge Halloween fan, so I know that the way the movie Halloween starts out, that POV of Michael when he goes to kill Judith, that was actually taken from Black Christmas. The main killer in Black Christmas you don't see for the movie because it's a lot of POV style shots and stuff. So let's see. Heiza says, any idea why my customs may squeak whilst walking when I cover the majority of the shoe? Moisture? I have not seen that problem before. I have not heard of that problem, but I can't think of what that would be. What pair of shoes was this on? Was this on Air Forces or something else? I'd be very curious to know what shoe that happened on. But let's hop in here. Let's do one more person's Instagram. So let's do J Station. J Station Customs. So I know a ton of you guys are just starting out, so it's a little bit harder for me to give a lot of feedback if there's not a lot of posts on the page. So again, here's one with only 8 posts, so it's kind of hard for me to give a lot of feedback. It works a little bit better, and I think I can help you a little bit more if there's a little bit more for me to go off of. But right away, the description, the bio, has all of your pricing. That's real cool. Short, simple, sweet, straight to the point. This way everybody knows. Before and after photos, I think that this is something that is heavily underutilized within the custom sneaker community, of a simple post like this of showing your before and afters. So showing this as an all-white shoe and then showing it turned into this, that's something that's it's gonna really pop to people to see the transformation. So before and afters, great ideas to incorporate. Again, little things like the photography can be improved, but you're just starting out, so it's just about pushing out the content. You'll get better with time. These photos are all most likely done with iPhone or some type of smartphone. Cameras are great on smartphones nowadays, but it still doesn't hurt to edit your photos a little bit. So like I said, pulling them up in some app like Lightroom, things like that. Those are all little things that are going to go a long way to help you out. So, okay, guys. It is about time for me to sign off, so I'll go ahead. Let's go ahead, switch back to here, and I'll answer another question or so, and that'll be it. So hopefully you guys are, like I said, enjoying the downtime, making the most out of it. I've gotten a lot of questions of people heavily concerned on what do I do during this downtime when I'm slower, when I don't have as many orders. Think of it like an athlete does with their off season. Pretend that you just won the championship, and now it's your off season. You have months before the next season begins. What do? You're not playing. Practice, improve your craft, get better. As a basketball player, as a sports reference, let's say you need to work on your three-pointer. Practice your three-pointer all summer. So let's say you need to work on your portraits. Practice your portraits during this slow period. As artists, it's always going to be tough for us, and a lot of times we're just going to have ups and downs. It's not always going to be peak season for us, you know what I mean? So during your downtime, during what could be a slow period, continue to improve on your craft. And if I know we'll get a lot of questions on, well, I don't have the shoes to practice on, or I can't afford the paint to practice with. Practice with other things to still continue to do art. Even if you need to pick up colored markers and do adult coloring books, whatever the case is, just continue to create, and that's what's really going to help you. And then as soon as things start to get back to normal, hopefully we're not too far away from that, you'll come back, stronger than last season. So that's what I recommend. Jaden says, is adhesion promoter necessary? It doesn't hurt. Just use it. That's my recommendation. Is it necessary? Yeah, just use it. It doesn't hurt. Can you paint synthetic leather? It really depends on the shoe. I'm going to say yeah, as long as you prep it correctly. Heiza says the squeak was from Air Force One mids. Also, a little also on some regular Air Force One 2s I did, so I'm guessing it's something I'm doing. I have not heard of that because I definitely wear some custom Air Force Ones and they don't squeak. We're not talking about a painted sole or anything like that, right? I can't think of what that would be really. And that's even when you go outside and you're just walking on concrete and things like that, it still squeaks. I've never heard of that. I haven't. Okay, so thank you guys for that. This is fun, reviewing your Instagrams. That's always cool stuff. And thank you guys for trusting my opinion enough to care what I think. And that's always cool. It was cool. We did, I mentioned earlier in the stream, we did reviewing your customs episode 6 earlier. 4 really, really, really cool pairs. And I'm excited for that episode to come out and for you guys to see those because we had some bangers, that's for sure. Okay, so our last question, going to be one that everybody needs to know. James says, what else goes on prep other than sanding and acetoning? Those are the most important steps. I always start with sanding, 400, 800, and then either like a 12 or a 15 or a 1600 in incredibly fine grit sandpaper. Then you're going to move into your Scotch-Brite pads, really scuff up that surface. Then you're going to move into your cotton ball and acetone combo and pick up all that residue left behind. Now that's for synthetic and leather surfaces, but when you're working on softer materials, canvas, prime knit, mesh, you do not need to do those same steps. So, yes, so that's all the stuff for prep. So it's always great to end on a question like that. That's one that's always going to be asked. Anybody starting out, that's something that you need to know. Don't just use cotton balls and acetones on your shoes because unfortunately you're going to end up with cracked shoes and nobody wants that. So we want to create clean, wearable customs. That's always going to be the goal of ours. That's what we're always going to try to teach. So hopefully you guys are able to take away something from that. Thank you guys for joining us. Hope everybody's able to stay safe. You guys have heard all the rules. I don't need to repeat it. This doesn't need to be a news station. Let this be a little bit of break from all that. Hopefully a little bit of fun. Hopefully we can talk all things custom sneakers here. Thank you guys for joining us. As always, we really appreciate it. And we'll see you guys in that next video.